and it's not by the producers. The producers say that their films and tapes won't sell as well if condoms are on screen.
Interesting question. Interesting question of whether or not there's legal liability.
Are the actors employees, or are they under an independent contract?
Depends on a lot of things. But
yeah.
you would think that this may generate some kind of interesting lawsuits. Before pornography or the porn industry was doing things in secrecy, now it's wide open all over the San Fernando Valley.
Yeah.
And HIV is a problem all over the world.
It's not a secret. It's the film industry.
I mean,
the porn film industry is huge.
Anybody carrying one of these little phones or an iPad or a computer.
Oh, these are big budget films. Some of them.
Well, they're viewed by
relatively
big budget. It's pretty interesting.
It is pretty interesting.
And another thing that's been going on, which I think is interesting,
is
the grading of the Roach Coaches.
Oh, yeah. I understand Los Angeles County is on the verge of issuing those alphabet numbers, A through C.
It used to be there were the construction site Roach Coaches.
Yeah.
And now there are 150 to 200, quote, gourmet food trucks that go around.
Yeah.
But wouldn't you like to know as a purchaser of food that the truck is clean and the food is fresh and they're not mixing meat with chicken and...
Who's not in favor of that? I know that the consuming public would be in favor of it.
Well, you never know about the consuming
I assume the consuming public would be. I'm in favor of it. Do you think the catering trucks?
Probably not. Nobody wants to deal with the health department.
Really?
And the grading. Would you go to a food truck that had a D on it?
No.
Or a C?
No.
B?
Yes. I draw the line between
everybody
B and
has
C.
a price, okay. But I would put the same grades on doctors' offices. I would put the same grade on lawyers' offices.
Or every doctor's office I've ever been in.
I put the same
The problem with doctors' offices, they already have those letters, but they all say MD. Would you not go?
I think it's a law that's necessary. I think it's the food truck's a phenomenon that started basically in L.A., but there's about 6,000 regular trucks that aren't the gourmet trucks, so they all should have them.
I personally, I think it's a good idea, and I think that it would be accepted by the public, and I think that it should be actually accepted by the food truck
companies. And I think it's going to happen quite soon.
Probably right. Did you hear about the U.S. Supreme Court taking the vaccine issue up?
That's a real interesting issue.
It is because it's this most arcane federal set of statutes.
No, it's not arcane. It was recently passed, these statutes.
Yeah, but it's difficult to understand.
Well, no, it's pretty simple. I mean, I know things.
Wait, can you disagree more than that?
What this is all about is the companies that make vaccines.
Right.
The normal shots that your kid gets,
right,
or an adult,
right.
If you have a problem over that, you can't sue in a state or federal court. You don't have any right to a jury.
But you do have a right to compensation if it's a recognized illness that is a secondary result of the vaccine.
We have to go to the
vaccine court.
Vaccine court. Now,
actually, personally, I think since everybody in our listening audience and our viewing audience get vaccinations, I think it's important for them to know that there's a system that is out there to protect both them and the pharmaceutical companies.
This system is only set up to protect the pharmaceutical companies, and so that they can, quote, experiment and make medicine better and current, et cetera, et cetera. Because once you take the jury trial away from a person and give it to the hands of a special, quote, vaccine court, you've basically taken lots of rights away from the citizens.
It's pretty.
The problem today, there's allegations. Not going to take one side or another on it, but this comes up a lot because of the autism issue and whether or not you get it when you give vaccine.
Right.
To your small child.
Well, that's the case that's now before the U.S. Supreme Court.
And the vaccine court said there was no causal relationship to it and awarded basically zip to everybody.
Right.
And you're talking about thousands and thousands of cases.
That's correct. And the case that's going to be heard involves an 18-year-old woman who's been suffering seizures since she's 6 months old, and then developed further illness, developmental illnesses as well. And the question is, can she sue?
Well, the problem is that she's already the lower court said no.
Correct.
And one of the justices has removed herself, the most recent justice, has removed herself from deciding the case because she was involved in some aspect of the government side. If the court splits 4-4, tie vote goes to whoever won at the lower court.
Yeah.
So it could well be, with only 8 justices and not 9, that this may be a divided vote, and we will have...
if it's split 4, everything stands.
Then the vaccine court is still together.
Correct. But on the other hand, a 5-3 vote, the vaccine court's gone, or at least limited. Yes? So,
drugs, marijuana, pot, that's going to be an interesting issue.
You did that very well, by the way. So what is a Prop 19 going up or down?
Well, I don't know about that, but we now have legislation that downgraded possession of an ounce or less of marijuana to an infraction.
Yeah.
So a speeding ticket.
That's an infraction.
Running a red light.
That's an infraction.
You know, it's going to be the same situation. The problem with all this is that an infraction is still criminal, and in most criminal cases, if it was a misdemeanor, you could expunge or get rid of it after you were finished probation, and it wouldn't charge on your record.
Right.
Making it an infraction, there's no provision to expunge it, so there's a...
All it changes is the name, though. This new legislation changes the name from misdemeanor to infraction.
Well,
but under an ounce for 35 years has been a misdemeanor, but with a $100 fine.
Well, it's not the fine. This stays on your record.
I understand that.
An infraction stays on your record forever.
That's what I'm saying.
But
it makes it worse in a way.
Yeah,
because you lose some of the protections of being charged with a misdemeanor. Because you do have some protections when you're charged with a misdemeanor.
All right, so I think we should end today with a question out there for the audience. And if the first 5 people to get it, and email us at legalhelplive@gmail.com, legalhelplive@gmail.com, will receive dinner for 2 at a restaurant of our choice. And the question is what was the first song that was sung by the guys who blocked the 101 freeway when they started playing?
Oh, I know that. I know that, but I'm not going to say it out loud.
So, for those of you out there, they ought to put those guys in jail.
I think I see some felony prosecutions
coming. Unless you're
coming.
president of the United States, you can't block the freeway.
That's right. If you are, then you can't. We'll see you next week. Ralph here, Steve right next to me, Legal Help Live. We'll see you next week at this time and this place. Looking forward to it.